Hello everybody, I'm day weather meteorologist Don Day with your Public Lands Council weekly weather update for this December 30th, 2023. Well, we're winding down the year and heading into the new year. What will the weather bring as we go into the new year? It's being brought to you by this update by WSR Insurance Services Incorporated and Ag Risk Advisors. Well, over the Christmas period, we saw a powerful storm come out of the Rockies and the West Coast and blew up into a major storm in the Plain States. A Christmas time blizzard for many areas of South Dakota, Nebraska, parts of northeastern Colorado, and extreme eastern Wyoming, feeling the impacts of that blizzard. Now, that storm system really caused a lot of bad weather, but is now moving away. This will allow room for more rain along the California coast and West Coast areas as we start this forecast period with some rain and snow in parts of the southwestern United States. Now, it's going to be, at least initially, pretty quiet for many areas in the Rockies and the High Plains heading into the new year. Not much going on. So wet in California and the West Coast, mainly dry in the Rockies and Plain states. Then it gets more active by late next week, and then we are potentially looking at much colder air invading the United States after next weekend. So we're talking around, let's say if you want some dates, around the January 7th, 8th, 9th timeframe, we may see the coldest air of the winter season entering parts of Canada and the U.S. And this will be something that stock growers are going to want to pay very close attention to. For the most part, temperatures this winter have not gone through any severe cold periods, at least anything that's lasted too long. But this next cold outbreak may be different. So that's something that's beyond this forecast time frame, but something that we need to watch. You can really see where that storm blew up across the plains with the area I'm highlighting right here, getting some very heavy snow in areas of freezing rain. A lot of rain out on the warm sector of the storm. And then you can see we saw some good moisture go through California, Arizona, New Mexico. More scattered snows, but not a lot in the Rockies. And then we saw very wet weather continuing in the eastern and southeastern parts of the United States. And you can really see in the snowfall totals over the last couple of weeks where the storm really blew up, and especially in this area here with a lot of wind, a lot of heavy snow. Some scattered snows in the Sierra Nevada, the Cascades, and the Rockies, but snowpack levels still remain. Those snowpack levels still remain well below average. Now, it has cooled off. Now, the last 3 weeks, we've had much above average temperatures in the west. Things have cooled off with that most recent storm. The temperature anomalies compared to the 30-year average continue to be in Canada and parts of the northern tier of the United States. But as we mentioned here at the beginning of this video, we do see some colder weather down the road. This is how the forecast will shape up over the next week. We've got low pressure coming into the West Coast. So for folks in California, more rain coming, more rain for the coastal areas of Washington and Oregon. Not much will get east of the Cascades or the Sierras though. So eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, Nevada, not going to see much. But part of this system will bring some rains to southern Arizona and New Mexico later on. Colder, unsettled weather in the Great Lakes and the eastern areas of the United States as we start this forecast period. But from a week from now, by next weekend, we're going to start to see low pressure beginning to get more active and want to come inland. Now, you see all this blue right here, the blue and gray? We're starting to see the cold air starting to really build up in the long term in Canada. Canada going to get very cold. And what we have to do is have the right setup for that cold to hit. And this is where we're expecting that by late next week, we'll start to see the weather change. And by next weekend and around the 8th, the 9th of January, somewhere around that time frame, this high pressure ridge out in the Pacific grows up towards Alaska, which opens the door to Canada. It's like opening a door, this high pressure ridge right here. And that will release the very cold air into the United States. And this is something that stock growers will need to watch because it could be impactful cold. But at least over the next week, we talked about the Rockies and the Plains really not seeing much over the next 7 days. That's certainly the case, while the West Coast and the southern areas here have the best chance for the rain and snow and continued very wet along the Gulf Coast. Snowfall-wise, even some snow down in Arizona and New Mexico's mountains down here as that colder air starts to come on in. But you can see the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascades will do well, but the interior west, the Rockies, still suffering from low snowpack. But longer term, this is by the 9th and 10th of January. We've got a big high here in the Eastern Pacific. If this comes to fruition, that door opens. And when that door opens, that blue arrow represents Arctic air's ability to come into the West. So, stock growers, you'll need to keep an eye on the weather the week after this, basically the week of January 8th, is likely going to turn much colder, not only in the U.S., but across most of the North American continent, something that we'll have more details for you with next week's video update. Here's the cold. This is the temperature anomaly you can see right here from about a week or so from now as we get into that first week of January 8th. So the cold could be real and widespread. Have yourself a good week and also have a happy new year. We'll see you next year.